This week's Give Me a Break brings us to AI mania. I've written and talked about AI mania from time to time over the years. I do think we are in a new phase where there is more focus on actual product. I think a lot of that is due to all of the capex that big tech has been spending on AI and AI related fields. They need to really start showing product. But some of the product we're seeing, I don't think is good enough. And I can't believe the product's being released in its current state. And one example of that is ChatGPT agent. I don't think that unveiling cut it. I think ChatGPT agent, and maybe we could say OpenAI in general, is being graded on a curve. The bar that they have to get over has now been set so low, which I don't know why, that you have things like ChatGPT agent. Supposedly it's for the mass market, but that was not aimed. That announcement, that unveiling was not aimed at the mass market. And I think if you are an AI proponent, if you want some of this technology to truly make it to the mass market, I don't think you want what OpenAI did. I think you want more time to be leveraged for these companies to wait and launch features that are truly ready for the mass market. In my prior career, I did a lot of data pulls, a whole lot of data pulls. The time that was found with a data pull was not making a pretty chart. It wasn't making a pretty table. It was verifying the data. That was the hard part. That was the time consuming part. I did P&C insurance. And so when I did data pulls, what would happen, and this was during the financial crisis. So when I talk about data pools, a prime example would be if I'm pulling data for the various investment portfolios that an insurance company would have. So you have like muni bonds, subprime bonds, etc. The hard part in that was there would be some companies that would have certain financial disclosures that weren't exactly apple to apple to another company. So you would have to kind of go in and you would have to not massage the number, but you would have to do some adjustments. And all of the data providers would never do it. And it got kind of comical where it was easier to just do it yourself than to do a data pull, do a quick data pull that you know the data would be incorrect and you would just have to go back and redo it again. What OpenAI did with its unveiling was it positioned spreadsheets as one of a handful of use cases. And when I saw the spreadsheets and I saw data pulling, I was like, oh, this is interesting because this is right up my alley. This is what I'm used to. And it was funny because it was almost the opposite of reality, where they were talking about making the chart, making the table is the hard part, is the time consuming part. And oh yeah, the data that's secondary. Yeah, oh this here comes the data. We'll just pull the data. And then they said, well, the data could be 97, 98% accurate. So you could go in and I'm saying to myself, wait a second. If I did a data pool that had incorrect information, even if it was one number out of a table of hundreds of data points, that's a problem. You can't do that. You need accurate numbers, 100%. And I don't understand how, if you have a data pool that's 98% accurate, what is the process for you to go back into this and verify, well, what is the 2% that's wrong? How do you know what's wrong? How do you know you have, how do you get confidence that the other 98% is actually right? I took a step back and said, give me a break here. This is not ready. Now, I'm not making a statement on AI agents going forward. I do think that there is a role for what we can call digital assistants to do more on your behalf. I just don't see how what is being positioned today as AI agents, I don't see how that helps us get to that point. It feels like we are taking a few steps back because people are moving so quick. Companies are moving so quick. They are too concerned with putting flags in the ground, marking their territory, claiming that they're first to something. And in reality, the consumer, they're way, way behind. They're back at Google AI overviews. They're way back there. I mean, AI agents. And you can maybe argue, well, Neo AI agents, that's for the early adopter. Okay. But the point and the thing that these companies are saying is that they're coming up with products for the mass market. So if we're admitting that this is not for the mass market, but for early adopters to tinker with, that needs to be reflected in some of these prognostications. That needs to be reflected in some of these timelines. Add it all together, and you do start the sense that AI mania, it's getting a little bit too crazy in certain sectors. Maybe in certain verticals, it is legitimately where it needs to be for dramatic change. But in other areas, like AI agents, I think it deserves to give me a break. I think these companies, they need to reassess what they're doing.